From some of the most intense on-court rivalries to trash talk to even more drama, basketball has it all. But even then, some rivals end up being the best of friends. Here's a look into some of them.
58 points, and the Lakers lead.
Starting with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. This one started back when the two were in the LA Lakers back in 1996. What started as light banter with Shaq commenting on Bryant's jersey sales and whatnot would soon become one of the sport's biggest rivalries. But right at the turn of the century, things started to heat up. That too, while they were playing on the same team.
He dunked it on Olajuwon, who went tumbling to the floor.
You'd think that there would be many conflict resolution meetings to get them to stop, but there are not. But at the core of it, it all boils down to jealousy. They were super talented and wanting to lead the team in opposite directions. Bryant had the entire image of what he wanted the team to be, but Shaq didn't agree with it and ended up calling him out in front of the media a bunch of times. All of that got even worse when Bryant had some assault accusations placed on him.
Moment of being uncomfortable and tell you have something in your teeth, and not let you look like an idiot in front of everybody else, or not have that moment and just let you look like an idiot in front of everybody else.
Where he specifically had to tell Shaq not to cause a mess. This entire debacle continued for an entire decade. That is, until it finally ended when Shaq said that the media just hyped up the entire situation and that there was never such a fight. Either that, or they just settled their differences personally and just needed to be on different teams to not be frustrated with one another all the time. But that's nothing compared to Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. This one has a lot to do with Michael Jordan. It all started when the two joined the Bulls. But before that, they were best friends and nothing could separate them. Turns out that Jordan and Grant didn't see eye to eye on everything out there, and that ended up bringing up a lot of difficult moments in the team. Of course, Pippen wanted to side with his friend, but getting on Jordan's bad side is never a good idea. So of course, it also created some animosity between the two.
He also came to the defense of his former teammate Scottie Pippen and the way Scottie was portrayed in the documentary. Here's what he said.
They started to drift apart with time because it wasn't just the entire MJ debacle between them, but they wanted to be the best.
Well, the number two guy, decorated as Scottie Pippen, portrayed so badly. I have never seen this in all of my life.
Pippen went on to learn from MJ himself. All the while, Grant was busy trying to improve on his own, so obviously they didn't remain that close. It's only natural. Despite that, Pippen constantly tried to keep a stable relationship with both of them, but it turned into choosing sides quickly. So this is another one of those cases where a good friend was just dragged into a big mess. Ultimately, Grant left the team as soon as he became a free agent, and ever since then, Pippen and MJ have been the closest of friends. But that's not all. Since Grant left the team, there isn't any hate to deal with, and they still consider each other close friends, despite that problematic time in between. That said, I have to talk about Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. The two were inseparable, but the finals of the NBA in 1988 changed things for them. Why is that? According to Johnson, Thomas was getting in between him and the championship. While some of you might not think it's a big deal, Johnson had worked for years for that. Not just that, but apparently Thomas started making some wild claims about Johnson's as well. That is, of course, after he got HIV, so I don't have to explain the homophobia there.
And now here we are doing it, you know. But you are my brother. Let me apologize to you.
But what made him cut himself off from Thomas were some racist comments about Larry Bird, with Thomas claiming the player's only that good because he's white. Things got so bad for him that he left and went to the Chicago Bulls. But here's what's surprising. The player claims that that was the first time he felt welcome on a team. Not just that, but it was the first time he was playing with people who were better than him, and it made him grow into the biggest names in the sport. The two hated each other for a long time, but in 2017, they finally decided to set their differences aside.
I thought I had the power to do what I wanted to do.
Right. And the power, what did you want to do?
I wanted to fire Luke Walton.
In an emotional one-on-one interview, the two cleared things out and even started to cry while they hugged each other. It's an emotional scene showing how much they meant to one another. On the other hand, you've got LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. This is the least toxic on this entire list. It's just a classic rivalry between two players who respect one another and want to be the best, ultimately turning into why both of them would be working harder than ever day and night.
Well, they got what they paid for tonight, baby. That's what they came to see.
Off the hand of LeBron, who picked up the loose ball behind the back.
It started out from the moment they met, with James saying that they had a special connection, knowing that they needed to be better than the other as soon as their eyes met. But unlike everyone else on this list, they weren't enemies or didn't really have some big beef going on.
I'm gonna talk. We can't talk now, we can't have a conversation just because the camera's right here.
Instead, they just wanted to be the best out there. But even such incredible rivalries sadly have to come to an end. And for the two of them, it was back in 2018, when the two went up against one another for the very last time in a match that quickly turned really emotional, with the two hugging each other and talking about how incredible their journey has been.
Have a peanut butter salad. You can't just eat a jelly sandwich.
No, you can't.
You're the glue. You stick. Everyone sticks to. Am I doing that right?
People stick to him.
Right.
That it's not always a bad idea to be friends with the competition. Speaking of incredible rivalries, here's Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. This one's pretty weird if I'm being honest. It's not every day that you get to see two players that have been playing together for the longest time suddenly have beef. They were tight, but all it took was one move that messed things up for them.
Okay, he's not a guard. That's a power forward. Point guard.
It turns out that the way that Durant left the team was suspicious to Westbrook, and it just ticked him off. While he didn't say anything directly to him, he did drop one toward Durant in a Jordan commercial, basically saying that he ran away. Things got really intense when they were finally playing against one another, with Westbrook screaming at his own teammate quite audibly, if I might say so myself, just because he talked to Durant. It's pretty wild stuff, but it's in 2017 that things really settled down between them. During the All-Star game, Durant threw a lob at Westbrook, and everyone went wild. Ever since then, the two have been really good friends, and it seems like nothing can stop them. And finally, Larry Bird and Julius Erving, arguably the craziest rivalry out of the bunch, though it's another really old one, taking place in 1984. And here's how it went down. Basically, the two were up against one another, but what made it even more intense was that at the time, their teams were undefeated, so there was a lot of pressure on them. All of that ended up in a full-on fight taking place between them. All the while, Dr. J was trying to get them to stop. Even when people finally got them to stop, the teams kept on fighting each other, and it felt like it would never end. Despite all of that, the two have nothing but respect for one another and love to go up against each other. Even if they're not exactly friends now, it's great to see that they're at a place where they can respect each other. That's one of the reasons they've also never trash-talked each other. That's been a look into some of the biggest basketball rivals that became friends.